So I said I wanted to make a character breakdown for each of the cast of Netflix Avatar The Last Airbender, and while working on that, I found myself complaining a lot about almost everything. So instead, I opted for community polls on the main cast so you guys can voice your opinions there. So instead of a character breakdown for each of the main cast, I'm gonna shine the spotlight on Zuko, who in my opinion is the best among the main cast, especially when you compare him to the animated show. And we'll go over the things that Netflix got right with his character and compare it to the other cast members to see how they kind of missed it. But before we get started, you know the drill. Please like, share and subscribe, and now let's get into what we have for today's video. Now you're free to disagree with this take, but in my opinion, Zuko among Team Avatar is the only one that I can confidently say is a step up from the original show. Sure, the writing and the directing may get him from time to time, but overall you can tell that they were really dedicated to his character. Meanwhile, the rest are kind of watered down version of the original, and I know, I've heard it all. This is not a shot for shot remake of the original. You can't expect the characters to be the same, and to be honest, I tried. Like, I really tried not to compare this remake to the animated show, but come on, it's too good to just ignore. And if I remember correctly, when live action remakes started to become mainstream in the early to mid 2010s, the whole point was to improve on the classic tale or flesh out its characters. And the best example I can give is the 2015 Cinderella. Like, when you compare animated Cinderella to that of the remake, you can see that there are many improvements to her character, like her extended relationship with the prince instead of just a one-night dance relationship. She stood up for herself from time to time, and so on, that when you put both films side by side, you can appreciate the classic for what it is and the remake as well for what it represents. But I digress. So back to what I'm saying, Zuko is like the only character among the main four that you can put on the scale with the animated version and appreciate both of them, and that's because of the little things that were added to his character. For instance, his notebook and the relics of past Avatar that he has around him. The animated show didn't give us all that, but to add an extra layer to a banished prince set out to capture an entity last seen 100 years ago, of course you have idols and intels relating to the whole Avatar stuff to help him track down the Avatar. And see how they paid out when Aang came out of the iceberg, like they started glowing. That's to show you that wherever he was in the world, he would have gotten the signal that the Avatar has returned, thereby making that whole instance of him coming across the light from the iceberg not just look like a plot armor. But then, and the writing of this show, they didn't have to tell us that again when they've already shown it to us.
I've chased down every hint, every rumor, every whisper of the Avatar.
Moving on to his arrogance and rage, my did they capture that so well. And I was truly worried that Netflix would tone down that element of his character, but I was impressed. Netflix Zuko, like animated Zuko, is willing to burn anybody that stands in his way, and they didn't just focus on, oh, he's an arrogant banished prince. They highlighted his gentle and kind-hearted spirit before Ozai wiped that smile off his face. And you see how Netflix managed to balance his arrogant side with what was truly within? That's something I feel they missed with the rest of Team Avatar. The most obvious one being Katara. Katara in this remake, in my opinion, just had one personality through this season. She was more calm and sweet and gentle, which are traits of Katara, sure, but they left out her fiery and outspoken side. Outside her argument with Sokka in the Cave of Two Lovers, we didn't see that side to her character again. Her confrontation with Jet and Master Paco can't even be compared with the animated version. Same thing with Sokka, and I don't mind his new style of humor in this remake, but can you compare it to the animated version? No. But back to Zuko, another thing I appreciated from Netflix is how they handled his determination to capture the Avatar but still remain true to himself as the heir to the throne even though he's desperate. And to elaborate on that, I love how he maintained the fact that as the heir to the throne of the Fire Nation, he cannot stoop to certain levels just to accomplish his quest. We see that when he refused to entertain gossips from Lieutenant G and when he resisted the idea of hiring a bounty hunter. These are subtle additions that just help flesh out his character because we know he's a banished prince and he wants to capture the Avatar. But how far is he willing to go or shed off his dignity to accomplish that goal? And that brings more depth to his pompous nature and our favorite addition, Sassy Zuko.
So someone saw ice in a place where no ice should exist?
And let's not forget the addition of the 41st Division arc because, oh my god, that raised live action Zuko high up the bar. When that story was told in the animated show, it was just to let his crew members sympathize with what he suffered, but at the end of the day, it had nothing to do with them. And I don't think we saw the nice and kind side of Zuko in the first season, but like I said earlier, Netflix did a great job of balancing his villainous and heroic side. Like up until episode 5, he was this guy willing to burn anybody in his way. Then we learned that, oh, he was actually a very kind-hearted person, kind to a fault if I may add, and that kindness ultimately led to his scar and his banishment, which then threw him on the darker path. I mean, that's just genius. And the process to accomplish all that didn't take away anything from his character, like All the aspects of animated Zuko were present, and the little changes here and there made him even better. Now compare how Netflix properly handled the complexity of Zuko to how they handled our main character Aang. Like they focused more on one aspect of his character over the others, and that made him feel incomplete or flat to me. Like live action Aang is more guilt driven and unsure of himself than he is as a playful character. I mean, outside splashing a little bit with Katara and riding the air scooter, what else is there? Meanwhile, in the animated show, his fun side is so center stage that Netflix toning it down was just a disservice to his character. How about his blossoming relationship with Katara? Let's look at that. They are rather turned into travel buddies for this remake, and all we got was this moment from the finale.
I need you.
And I've seen the jokes online where he's like,
I've never hidden from you. Untie me and I'll fight you right now.
And in the remake he's like,
Please, you have to let me go.
No.
And also his escape from Zuko's ship in the cartoon was just so epic, like how he took out those soldiers with his hands tied and floored Zuko, but in this remake he just stole the keys and
He ran!
But this one gave us this new iconic moment, so I'll let it slide. So at the end of the day, I really hope Netflix listens to what we the fans are saying, because I'm not making these criticisms because I'm a hater. It's because I want to see a remake that can live up to the animated show. Same way we have remakes like Cinderella that can stand on the same ground as the animated classic. And God, they have to get TOPH right. I don't want them to just focus on let's see how strong she is and then leave out her vulnerable side. Instead of taking away from what made her great like they've done with most of the cast, they can take notes from how they've handled Zuko and flesh out her character even more. I just hope they listen, like I really do, because I'd hate to see fans tear apart the second season for its issues the way we're doing with the first season. So share your thoughts down in the comment section below, like, share and subscribe, check out more of my videos on Avatar, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!